Welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric and day 3 of Vlogmas 2022. As you can see over my shoulder here, I have changed out my calendar mini quilt page. I haven't had a chance to talk much about those yet, so how about I talk about those as I grab a fiber. Let me dig down in deep and let's see what we get. So, you might have noticed that all of my bags are just simple, plain muslin bags. I had considered making all the bags out of Christmas fabrics, because I have a stash of those. But staying true to this Vlogmas goal of keeping things centered around relaxing, taking in the each day as it comes, and the enjoyment of that, finding a little peace and a little unwinding, I decided I wasn't going to, at the last minute, try to sew up 24 little bags. So sometimes we just have to make do with what you can purchase. And the days we are today where you can source these kind of things at the last minute. But it looks like I have a new color of chocolate. I am enjoying those. And, oh, another little present. These are surprisingly good. They were not expensive chocolate by any means when I purchased them, but they are much more in the style of the European chocolate, creamy and smooth and a really good bite. Nice little treat. Let's see, there should be a card in here. The card is saying leaf green. We have finally moved. Leaf green. I think this one is not an exhaust. Leaf green was day one's color, but it was the exhaust of it. So this is a similar shade, but, and I have another camera going that will hopefully get a better color. I apologize for the fact that I didn't sit down with my phone camera and get photos of each of these colors. I had thought about doing it, but something's not. There we go. But with the run up to Vlogmas, it got forgotten. I will no. The truth is, if I sit down and empty out each one of those bags, take a photo, try to match it up, I'm going to drive myself crazy. So I apologize that I know the camera is not as true, but right now it actually, at least the way I'm seeing it, it's pretty close. This is a green that has a lot of blue in it. It's not quite as dark as I think the camera's making it, but I have a second camera going. I will take a snap of that so that, we can compare. And right off the bat, I have a large nap. So, as I was saying, let's talk about those mini quilts that I'm making. If you're following me on Instagram and Facebook, on Pioneer Lady at Pithy Ponderings, you will notice I am posting a photo of the mini quilts every day. I had so much fun making them. They have been one of the great joys of the run-up to Christmas, the run-up to Vlogmas. So, back in the day, a lot of people, and even now, a lot of people who do machine embroidery have an area of that they can embroider on that's no more than 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters or 4 inches by 4 inches. A lot of the entry-level machines, that's their area that they can stitch on. Well, back in the day, a lot more people were restricted to hoop sizes, to embroidery designs that were no bigger than 4 inches by 4 inches or 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. And that means that 20 years ago, when you were purchasing embroidery designs, most of the designs you were getting were going to be a 4x4 or smaller. There were larger hoops. There were machines that did have larger hoops, and there were designers who did make designs for those larger hoops, but most of the designs that were coming out were in that 4x4 range, or sometimes just slightly larger if it was made for the larger hoop. So, I have in my files, my big embroidery filing cabinet, digital of course, I have a lot of designs that harken back to those days of 4x4 stitching areas. And I don't often pull them up. I have use for them. When I did a quilt for my son a few years ago for Christmas, all of the designs were 4x4, because when I am doing, in this case I was doing a little bit of a log cabin block, and I started with the center block, the center of the log cabin with a 4x4 square. So there is definitely times I have pulled up the 4x4 designs. But oftentimes, with all the new designs and the things that are trying and making big pillows and whatever, the little 4x4 designs get forgotten. And I remember when all the designers started making bigger and bigger and bigger designs, and it actually frustrated me, because even though I did have a hoop big enough to do a number of them, it got frustrating because then all the designs seem to be designed for larger hoops. And I liked the little 4x4s for things. So when I sat down and started wanting to make these little quilt pages, these Advent countdown to Christmas calendar pages, I challenged myself to go back and find all these little 4x4 designs. And it was really wonderful, because for people who do machine embroidery, the design that I have here is the overall little mini quilt. It's really about 5x7, 5x8 kind of area. Okay. And people who do machine embroidery know that some designers, well, a lot of designers like to make mug rugs. Coasters that we put mugs on. And some of them are making large 5x7s and 8x10, mug rugs, little placemats, basically. And so that's basically what I digitized up, is just a large mug rug that I then went and found all of these little designs to put in. I had so much fun. I had so much fun finding them all from the different designers that I'd purchased the designs from in the past. But I had so much fun figuring out how to have them in the layout of my mini quilt. And every day of Vlogmas, there'll be a different design, and the layouts of the designs vary. I think I have, at the end of the day, I think I had 6 different, maybe 7 different layouts that I used for these calendar pages. And my husband made this wonderful stand for me that I just slip the little quilt over the back of it, and it works really well. But that's what's been behind those little calendar pages. It was fun because sometimes it harkens back to that, sometimes we get into this habit of new is so exciting and bigger is better, and oh my goodness, well, we forget what's in our stash too. And so the making of those quilts was such a kind of walk down memory lane, reorient myself with, as my husband says, refamiliarize myself with my stash. and trying to figure out, you know, what would work, what colors of fabric to use, trying to figure out what day. I have one, I have one that's right near the end, right before Christmas, that is a little gnome that's sewing. And it made me laugh because I think it's on the 23rd. I'm not positive, but I think it's on the 23rd. And it cracked me up to put it on that because, as I said in yesterday's vlog, I think that was yesterday, I used to spend a lot of time at the last minute at the sewing machine trying to get just one more project finished before Christmas. And so I chuckled to put the little sewing gnome so close to Christmas Day as she's desperately trying to finish one more project before Christmas. And now I think, oh, those days are over. Yeah, I'm still usually trying to finish one more thing before Christmas. Mainly because it gives me joy to make them. And if it's something I give away next Christmas, the following Christmas, somebody else's birthday, I still find there's so much fun in crafting right up to the right up to the end, right up to the Christmas Eve. Yes, exciting life, not Christmas parties. Not dashing around town, not doing last minute Christmas shopping. Nope, you'll find me either at the in the sewing room, at the embroidery machine, the sewing machine, or here at the spinning wheel. Or there's always in my comfy chair with my knitting needles or crochet hook in hand. So, yes. So this color, as I said earlier, it was called in. I should mention. So the dyes that I use mostly for my acid dyes. I use mostly dyes from Pro Chemical and Dye. I do have a bunch of Dharma Trading Company dyes as well, but more of those are for my cotton, as opposed to the wool, the acid dyes for the wool. When I lived in Colorado, it was neither here nor there as to which company I bought the dyes from, mainly because it cost me about the same in shipping from both. But now that I live on the East Coast, I do find that Pro Chemical and Dye tends to get my business for my dyes more often, because it is a longer shipping distance from Dharma Trading. However, Dharma Trading has fabulous dyeable goods, and if you see me in my vlogs wearing a hand-dyed silk scarf, that is where I get my my silk scarves from to dye. So yeah, I don't have quite the palette of silk scarves to wear this year, because I dyed up most of them really for my daughter, and she has taken them with her, and so I'm left with just the few that I've dyed specifically for me. I don't have quite the stash to raid this year, but yeah, that's where I get my dyes. I've been following some Facebook group pages on dyes and tie-dye, and discovered there's quite a number of other dye companies I wouldn't mind trying, but I have quite the pile of dye I need to work through, and as you can see, I'm going to have day after day of greens. Yeah. But it is lovely to have all of these varieties. I do. So when I do embroidery, in fact, the one behind me is a really good example. I am really conscientious. Okay. I'm really careful there. Let's just go there. I'm really careful with my color selections. Colors like green and red, well, everyone recognizes that the color blue, there can be all these different varieties. But people don't always realize how very different reds and greens can be one from another. There's the blue greens, and then there is more of the yellow greens, and you just get, they're very different. And when I do my machine embroidery, I'm always very, very careful to coordinate my thread with my fabric. Because you can, it can kind of be very, it can clash. Now, there are times when that's exactly what you're aiming for. But I am somebody who takes a little bit of time to really make sure that the colors that I'm using are smoothly transition from the base fabric here to the green that I pick for here. So, mixing all of these greens in this spin, it is a challenge. It is definitely a challenge for me, because I would normally not put the colors of the last couple days. I think what yesterday was herb green and leaf green. One of them is a yellow green and one of them is a blue green. And the truth is, I wouldn't put them side by side. Even when I do my random dyeing of fiber, I would be very careful which greens and where I put them. When I do my dyeing, it's done. Can you believe that? When I do my dyeing, and I'm doing random, I may use leaf green and herb green and pine green and emerald all in the same dye process on a batch of fiber. But because I'm putting them in little blotches everywhere, it works. Because when I spin, I'm only going to get a little tiny bit and a little tiny bit and a little tiny bit, and it's going to blend together. All those different greens all of a sudden start to blend and merge because of the way they're dyed. In this case, because I am spinning up a handful of dyed fiber. Let me turn that so you can see. There we go. We'll just turn the wheel. You can see that there is a big section moving from one to the next. And that's going to be a huge section of yarn that's all this color, and then it's going to jump to another completely different color. And it can be, it's going to be interesting to see when I apply it, what happens to those. I suspect it will all blend well, but it can also create some sort of bizarre stripy pattern. Candy cane, peppermint candy cane gone wrong. But it shouldn't be muddy, because it is still all in the green and blue yellow family. So there we have it. Another Vlogmas day coming to an end. Oh wait, no, I forgot. I've got to find out what I am challenging myself to do. Closing my eyes, reaching down in, and only picking one, and opening my eyes too. Set this down. Yay! Read a book! Now, why am I so excited about reading a book when it's only day 3 of Vlogmas? because getting ready for Vlogmas this year has been crazy. And this gives me some time to just chill. So, I'm going to get this video posted, and I'm going to read a book. I hope that you've enjoyed another Vlogmas day, another spinning with me as we count down our way to Christmas. I hope you've had a chance to unwind, maybe with some fiber and fabric. And I hope that you will join me again tomorrow for another day of this craziness. Best wishes to you, and we will see you then.